Okay, we are up and running here. Want to say hello to everybody and welcome to Shadow Collective, a Star Wars podcast. This is episode 15, guys.
15. The 15 mark.
Gotta say, I'm happy to see us here.
Yeah, we made it.
It feels like it's been a while. It's been going on longer than 15 episodes, but it's just the amount of time in between each, right?
yeah, right. But gotta say, as always, I'm here. I'm Darth Eldor, and I'm here with my friends as always. Andy Beats.
Hi.
And hailing from his new residence, Swampgrass.
From the dungeon.
Hello. Yeah, from the shadows.
The Shadow Collective, right? We should all have the shadows in the background. Yeah. My light's not as bright as yours, though.
True. Mine are pretty bright. Yeah.
So how you both doing today?
Good.
Doing pretty well.
All right, nice, awesome. Okay, so let's get right into this. We're gonna get right into the Star Wars news today, and obviously with the biggest news of it all, the WGA strike is over.
Thank goodness.
Let's go.
Obviously, as we were ending the podcast last episode, which was about 2 weeks ago, the news was starting to come in that there was potential that there was a bargain reached, and the next day pretty much, this is all over. So I mean, I'm happy to hear it because it's nice to see that we can get back to work on some Star Wars, and we can start getting some ideas of when we're going to start seeing some of these new shows that are supposed to be coming out. We've got some stuff coming up soon. I think we're going to talk a little bit more about that later, but I'm not sure where I want to go with this. I think it's more that I'm just so happy to see everything rolling again. I think we'll come back to this in a little while, but great news to be heard.
Maybe this wasn't the news that the article to start off with.
No, it wasn't. And hey, sometimes we live, we learn, and that's how we go. But there are other things going on right now. There has been some concern on the interwebs because we've heard a lot of news about a remake of Knights of the Old Republic, and they had this trailer come out during one of the Electronic Arts showings, and it was kind of a mysterious little trailer going, and it ended up being kind of a really great trailer in my opinion. It was not a lot was said. They just brought up a picture of Darth Revan. They basically called him a threat to the galaxy. He looked like he was poised to strike, and then they just pop in with Knights of the Old Republic remake, and without really saying much, they said everything they needed to say. It was a perfectly to the point trailer, and I was hyped. I was like, I hope they do something good with this remake. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be the exact same story as we remember, because nobody does a remake now without changing the story.
Right. Yeah.
Because
it's not gonna be exact. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was interesting to see. Unfortunately, ever since that's happened, we've heard nothing about it, and suddenly, there's been a lot of news about trailers, any tweets about it, any licensing that's come out for music. It's all disappeared. Any news, any word, it's just all being pulled off the internet. So there's a lot of concern that this project has been completely scrapped. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, that'd be I don't know. That would be a little sad, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Like, it those games hold a lot of nostalgia for people, I guess. Going back to the old days of that stuff on the Xbox and whatnot. So I don't know, like if they, it would be like pulling the rug from underneath you for some people. I mean, you see that trailer and you're like, oh man, it's gonna be great. Like it's gonna be good. That was back in 2021, actually, when that trailer was dropped. So it's like nothing, like you said, nothing for 2 years. And then things are coming up saying that, you know, stuff's been deleted off. Everything's been taken down. All the Twitter posts, all this stuff. But I guess there's a few ways people have seen these tweets and stuff. I guess it's called the Wayback Machine, using the Wayback Machine, I guess, or whatever that is. Sounds like a time machine. I guess that's probably what it's meant to be, like resembling or something, the Wayback Machine. And they've used this device or app to say that these tweets did exist. So, I mean, we weren't all deceived. We weren't all dreaming. This was here. So I don't know. I mean, for me personally, like, I'm not as into the games as a lot of people. I would probably play it eventually. I still haven't played those other games yet. So, but I don't know. It seems kind of like, here it is. No. Here it is. Oh, no. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like at this point, like, being that it's been so long, I almost felt like it had fallen through anyways. Like, it just kind of wouldn't surprise me if it's not going to be going through. But at the same time, it's something I know people were really hyped about, and I think it would be really great for, like, as we know, we talked about before, Disney having such struggles with a lot of their movie releases and all that kind of stuff. And I know that Knights of the Old Republic, like the old games, first and second, brought more merchandise money to Star Wars than anything else at the time. Like it was really huge. So I feel like a game like that could be just the thing that they need, and yeah, be unfortunate if it doesn't go through, like not just for us but for them as well.
I mean, a lot of people played these games. Like a lot of
massive.
people. Like it was like a lot of people's upbringing. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like growing up, Knights of the Old Republic. Like,
yeah, apparently
KOTOR too, right?
Yeah, apparently the purple lightsabers like outsell Darth Vader. They outsell everything. Like it's huge.
I mean,
yeah, it would be unfortunate.
Yeah, it's like I said. I mean, when I first heard about this, it was like, wow, there's like a whole new Star Wars story out of nowhere. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in seeing what's going on with this. I remember, it was the main reason I bought an Xbox, because it was when it first came out, it was an Xbox only game. You couldn't get it anywhere else. It's like, wait, I can only do that? Well, shit, I'm gonna go buy an Xbox then.
Yeah.
And I sat there, bought it. I played the game, loved every minute of it, and I think, like you said, it was great for a generation that didn't have a Star Wars story at that point. Yeah. And now to sit here and have this idea where people can come in and they could kind of almost relive that story, it would be great. I mean, there's a lot of people that are new to Star Wars now that have never got the opportunity to really understand who Revan is. And I mean, Revan has become such a big part of the Star Wars lore. So the chance to see who Revan is, who Malik is, who Bastila Shan is, I mean, and I would love to be able to, even if they're going to change the story a little bit, I hope it wouldn't be anything too catastrophically different, but
yeah,
just the opportunity to see something different and see what's going on, I think it would be amazing for them. And I hope that the project isn't over, but I mean, at this point, what do? We just gotta wait and see. Luckily, they're not taking down all the versions of the game, so you can still go back and play it. But I think people who play games today, I don't know if they'll be able to go back to that game and be like, this is the kind of game I want to play.
The old game, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the thing for the old game too. Like I can't imagine like a rework quite matching that level of success either, just because, for its time that was such a revolutionary thing. Like even the whole choose your own destiny style game, that was fairly new concept, and I remember being super hyped about that, where you're like, "Oh, I don't have to play as a Jedi. I can be a Sith. I can do, choose my own destiny." And that was really big for a Star Wars game at the time, for sure.
Yep.
Very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, you could be like, oh, I can be a Sith. Oh my goodness, I can be somebody else in the Jedi. Wow, I can be a bad guy. This is awesome. Like,
Yeah, and totally different play style too, right? Like I remember like being very obsessed with the game and had, I don't know, like fully wrapped, but close to the end of the game on like a dark side and a light side one, and just so different, right? On the light side, you have like tons of great allies and all this kind of stuff to choose from. Like dark side, you're more kind of doing it on your own, but you're more powerful. And yeah, it was really interesting.
I mean, even if you want to go to the simplicity of the weapons as well, I don't have to just have one lightsaber. I can have two. I can fight with two lightsabers. Oh wait, I can fight with a double-bladed lightsaber. No, wait. If I want to have a gun and a lightsaber, I can do that too. Wait, I can do all of this stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hell
Or even
yeah.
just not even lightsaber, like cool swords and everything. Yeah. it
Yeah.
was great weaponry.
I just I find it weird. Like if you read into this article too, like they're saying that Aspire had worked on the remake for 3 years before it was finally announced at that showcase, and there was the reveal of Jennifer Hale coming back as Bas Lashan, and then all of a sudden it's like they set up here they showed it to the executives, in Lucasfilm and Sony, and they weren't impressed with it. Like, I mean, what do you guys think? Like, why, how would you? Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can think of is like, there's so many, like it's 2021. There's a bunch of other games coming out. Maybe not a lot of people wanted to play a game that's kind of already, maybe they were based in the story a little bit off the other game, possibly, or I mean, it's remake, right? So you're not going to totally redo the game, right? It's still going to have kind of a basis of the story.
I mean, the one thing I do know is that Aspire is known more for taking a game and porting it over to other platforms that most people wouldn't normally play something on. Like when you start getting to, like, say, being able to play Knights of the Old Republic on your phone or on your tablet, or hell, on your Apple Watch, which you probably do now thanks to Aspire. I know that was kind of what their thing was. So when I heard Aspire was taking this over, it's like, well, they're probably just moving the game over, setting everything up.
Which they did, yeah, actually.
And like you said, it took about 3 years. I can understand that they basically set things up, but at the end of the day, I can also see disappointment because they're not known for game innovation. They're basically known for, like I said, moving things over, transitioning a game to a different platform, and doing that well. I don't know what they were expecting from this company in the first place. Maybe Aspire said, "Hey, we've brought some new people in. We think we can do this," and maybe they failed miserably. I don't know. I know it was passed off to Embracer, I believe, at some point afterwards.
Saber Interactive. Saber Interactive and both studios are owned by parent company Embracer.
Okay, so yeah. But yeah, so it was passed off, and I guess Saber Interactive started working on it. But the thing is, once we heard that the move had happened, suddenly we heard nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know if Saber Interactive just basically said, just put it on the shelf, we'll get there when we eventually get there, and eventually too much time passes. It's just like, yeah, we're never going to get to this game. I don't know.
Well, it does say here that the parent company Embracer is closing studios, canceling games, and letting go staff amid a punishing restructure.
Which I haven't.
Yeah, it's not necessarily good.
No.
I mean, that being said, I don't really know much that Embracer outside of. I don't really know much that Embracer has done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, they say that what Saber Interactive? It says World War Z and Space Marine 2.
I mean, okay.
I don't even know. Never played them.
I know of World War Z. The other one I don't.
I've heard of Space Marine, but I've never played it.
I'm just looking
Anyways.
here.
It's disappointing, yeah, for sure.
At the end of the day, disappointing. I do hope eventually we do hear some good news about it, but if we don't, then I guess I'll have to move on and just wait for some better things. But that being said, we do have some games I am kind of excited for that are coming in the future, so
Right.
who knows what else we'll see soon.
Yep.
But yeah, after that, the next story, there wasn't a lot of news this week, but the next story that I picked up on was there was a lot of talk this week about Ahsoka. Obviously, we caught the season finale this week,
Right.
which early in the week, if you had looked at the tweets and all the things that had come out, they had said series finale, and then suddenly they all start to say season finale. Which, I mean, obviously lends to the idea that now we're already talking season 2, even though we haven't gotten an official word of season 2 yet. And we also haven't really technically, which is going to lead into the story where it's saying season 2 hasn't reportedly been ordered yet.
Right.
So we still don't know what's happening. But from this story here, they're saying it hasn't been ordered yet, but it still should come before the Dave Filoni film, which we still don't have a tentative date on his film yet.
No.
So I'm just gonna look through here quick. Let's see. When Deadline did a recap of the season finale, The Jedi, the Witch, and the Warlord, they made a note about what the future holds in store for Ahsoka showrunner Dave Filoni. They wrote, some fans have speculated Filoni's standalone feature film, which will be a culmination of his Disney Plus Lucasfilm universe of The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka, centers around Thrawn, and that is poised to be next. However, we hear that Ahsoka Season 2 is more of a reality in the conversation, but nothing is locked yet. Tonight, there were no placards teasing Ahsoka will return in the immediate future. Natch, the ending WGA strike, and the ongoing actor strike has put off production for some time. So, I mean, I can understand where we are with this. I mean, obviously, maybe when this was all done, we didn't know that the strike would be over by then. So, maybe it was something like, we're just going to keep it on the shelf until we know that we're going to be in a position where we can do this. Because who knows how long this strike is going to last. I mean, I don't even know. The strike went on for quite a few months, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, for sure. It was quite a while.
So
it was 5 months. Yeah.
5 months.
So in that time, I mean, there's a lot of shows that we kind of lost track of along the way. I mean, there's things that we still have to figure out along the way. But I mean, is it really a surprise to us that we're going to potentially get a season 2 of Ahsoka at this point?
I'm not surprised. No.
Yeah, I feel like it makes sense. But one thing that is surprising is we did get, we had that article, I don't even remember how many episodes back, but a few episodes back where they were talking about cutbacks and no future projects, just only the ones that they've already started and all that kind of stuff. So that part does seem a bit surprising that if they are doing that, then that kind of goes against what that article had said about no future projects and all that kind of stuff. So
I think it's more aimed towards like future, like new projects. I don't think it meant like if they're going to do a second season of something or a third season of something.
Yeah, continuation of the same project, I guess.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I could honestly see it even being not like Ahsoka season 2. Maybe they would change it up, have it like Ezra. It's called Ezra or something, or Thrawn, or I don't know.
Just change the title each season, like
each one's named after a different character.
Yeah, right.
And on this season of Chopper.
Yeah,
I would
That's
watch
the
that.
best
Man.
one.
Oh yeah,
Best one right
Damn
there.
right. Get the Chopper
Goes
mannerisms. Yeah.
Goes into like Chopper flashbacks and stuff like that. Of being,
When
like,
Chopper
built.
was a young Chopper. Yeah. I'm not surprised though, to be honest. Obviously, we're gonna see these shows because they keep saying that the Filoni movie is supposed to be the culmination of everything, right? So I think they're gonna do whatever they need to do. Season 4 of Mando, season 2 of Ahsoka, maybe a season 3 of Ahsoka. I don't know, like, because there's no set date yet for that movie, right? So the idea is there, but there's still a vast amount of room to make whatever else they need to make, especially if they haven't announced a date for that movie. So they can do whatever they want, really. Like they said that there's going to be a culmination, but you never know. Could be pushed. But
on top of that, I mean, even thinking, we still don't even know where the skeleton crew's supposed to fit in. Because this is supposed to be in the same time period.
Yep.
It might be something totally out of the realm of what we're doing, but who knows? Maybe there might be something that fits in, or even if it's in such a small way that it doesn't change much, it could still change something. So,
like if they keep adding stuff to the Mandoverse, like Sketcher is part of the Mandoverse, what else is going to be part of the Mandoverse?
Yeah, like we heard that they're not continuing with Book of Boba Fett. I wouldn't be all too surprised to see if in Skeleton Crew maybe Boba Fett and Fennec Shand make their way into that show in some capacity.
Which is what it should have happened in the first place. Like instead of creating whatever that was.
Yeah.
But now I can see that because they're a bunch of those characters. They're just side characters. You're not going to make a full, as you can see in Boba Fett. It had a lot of mixed reviews, right?
Yeah.
So, and a lot of those characters they're just side characters. They try to make stories out of these characters, and you're just like, So, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, next thing you know. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Huh?
No, I was going to say, sometimes some of these characters are just meant to be left alone after a while, and...
Well, that's right. Like, how much stuff of Boba Fett do you want to know? Like, how much more do you want to know about him? Like I find the mystery of him now, like, it's just gone. Like, you go back and watch Empire, you're like, oh, I know his story now. Like, you know what I mean? It's not as mysterious. Like,
I feel like that's what I've been saying all along, though, is that, don't get me wrong, I understand. That's why Boba Fett was never one of my favorite characters, because the more you know, the less I like them.
right.
Yeah.
I hate to go there, but it's the same way I feel about a lot of characters in Star Wars. It's like I think the more I would know about Phasma, I would like her less. The more I would know about
right.
There's a lot of characters out there that there's a mystery to them, and let's keep some of it.
Yeah, once you see somebody naked wrestling with a Wookiee, all mystery's out the door.
Yeah, there it is.
like okay, so when he showed up in Mandalorian, and you still had that kind of like, when he was fighting those stormtroopers and stuff, like that was still like killer badass, right? But then you go to the show and you're like, oh man, he's like a beat up old man who's like trying to keep himself alive in a bacta tank, and like, oh, and he's sharing fruit with a Wookiee now, and you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. Anyways, we're getting off topic a little bit, but but yeah, no, I think I mean, this Mandoverse could go on for a little bit while longer now. I could see
Yeah,
it
and I
still
feel
going.
like we had confirmation about Mando season 4 before any of it, right? So I feel like that's probably, other than Skeleton Crew, that might be next.
Well, I think
I mean,
I think the reason we got that was at the end of the day was because, if I'm right, I think Favreau said they're done writing it already.
Yeah,
Well,
I think that is what it was.
Yeah.
It says the fourth season of the Mando was set to begin filming this fall pre-strike, so they have everything done
They were just held
pre-production,
back.
right? So they're ready to go. So I'm guessing it's going to start filming here soon, right? Or by
Yeah.
the end of the year.
I mean, or however, wherever you got to push it back now because of the strike that had happened. But
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
All right, so that's all I really wanted to cover for news at the moment. I stress the word at the moment. But we did have a couple of episodes of Ahsoka here. Last 2 episodes of the season.
Did everybody watch it?
I hope everybody did, because
Spoilers.
if you didn't, yeah, you're about to get bombed with how the season ended. So this is the point where I'm going to sit there and do we bring up the little spoiler tab for everybody?
I typed it in the chat there for the people. Spoiler alert, guys! Spoilers incoming.
Yeah, I can kick that in. Alright. Yeah, there it goes.
There we go.
Alright, so from this point on, if go watch the rest of the episode and then come back and watch this afterwards. But
Yeah.
but let's get into episode 7 of Ahsoka. And first episode was actually, what do you guys want to read this one?
Yeah, sure, I'll do it. So part 7, Dreams and Madness, runtime 0 minutes and 0 seconds.
Apparently.
I didn't know where you found them, so
Yeah, I think I went on IMDb or something. I don't know. Anyways, not important. It was a pretty long episode, I think. Anyways, on Coruscant, Syndulla faces a disciplinary hearing with tribunal member Senator Hamato Ziono objecting to reports of the secret Imperial Remnant conspiracy. C-3PO arrives and provides the tribunal with a fake authorization by Senator Leia Organa, forcing the court to absolve Syndulla and Mothma to consider the threat of an Imperial resurgence. Arriving at Peridia, the Purgles run into a minefield left by Thrawn's forces and retreat. Continuing alone, Ahsoka and Hu Yang are Academy fighters and hide in a debris field. Elsbeth informs Thrawn that Ahsoka was trained by Anakin, compelling the Grand Admiral to adopt a more calculated approach. Ahsoka locates Ren through the Force and heads to the planet's surface. Bridger, Ren, and the Noti are attacked by Shin.
By Shin.
By Shin, the local bandits, and Thrawn's night troopers, while Skull leaves to pursue his own agenda. Ahsoka's intervention forces Thrawn to withdraw his remaining night troopers and prepare his imminent departure. Ahsoka invites Shin, who has been left behind, to join them, but Shin instead runs away. Ahsoka, Bridger, and Ren then joyously reconnect. Directed by Geta Patel and written by Mr. Filoni. What did we think, fellas?
I mean, personally, I love this episode. I Where to start? Wow.
Let's start with C-3PO.
I mean,
Yeah, let's start with that
that's a great
first
place.
scene
That's
with
a great place to start
the thing.
because
Yeah,
that was the last thing. That was the last thing I
I
expected to see in
yeah,
this episode.
exactly.
I mean, not that I expected to see Leia to show up or anything, but it's the perfect way to refer back to the original trilogy without having to go too deep into the original trilogy.
Right.
I mean, C-3PO, perfect person. It's great that they got Anthony Daniels back to do it.
Yeah. He said he had a joy that full day. Like everybody was like, "Oh man, it was so great to be around him and all this stuff." And like he had a blast apparently from his interviews.
Nice. That's
yeah.
awesome.
I love how at first you can kind of just hear him in the background slightly, and then right away you're like, oh, "That's 3PO."
Yeah, I was like, "No way!"
Yeah, that was cool.
Going off of that, I mean, the talk between Hera and Mon Mothma afterwards, you get that kind of chilling, like we're in trouble kind of feel. Where do I go from there? I mean, it was kind of cool to see the moment where Sabine's like trying to give Ezra back his lightsaber. He's like, no.
Here, take it. No. Here, take it. No, you keep it.
It's like, no, you keep it. The Force is my... And when he said the Force is my ally now, that kind of... That put chills on me. Because it's like... That's like Yoda type shit right there.
Yeah.
I think it was you that predicted that was gonna happen too, Eldor. You're like, I think they're gonna go after them, and then Ezra's not even gonna use a lightsaber. Or
Yeah.
one of you said that. I think it was you, Eldor.
Yeah, and it was kind of like, it's kind of awesome to see it that way. So
Yeah.
it was like watching him fight these guys and have no problem holding his own, learning how to fight without a lightsaber. Like I said, the only thing to me that would have been cooler is if he had said, "No, I got my own," and pulled out a lightsaber of his own that he had crafted while he was there.
Mhm. Yeah, made of like bone and stuff like that. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But
Bone. Nody shell.
Yeah.
I mean, that being
Yeah,
said, that was awesome.
The fighting that he did too was very cool. It was very like kung fu movie style. Like he had a very I don't know, Shaolin monk.
Shaolin,
presence.
that's what I feel. Yeah. I feel
Yeah.
the Shaolin stuff.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The-
What else?
But yeah, I mean, then just to see Thrawn himself. I mean, the more I see live action Thrawn, the more I get used to live action Thrawn. Why haven't?
Well, did you see his face when he said Anakin Skywalker's apprentice, and he was just like, "Oh, like, oh crap!" Like,
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
yeah, I have. It's like,
and I think
okay,
that's what
man.
we like kind of assumed that was going to happen. He's going to be like, "Oh, that's like, you know."
I mean,
Yeah, it did feel like a lot of it was playing off like it kept going back to Thrawn talking about like what he wants to do with the strategy, and then Morgan Elsbeth being so shocked by what he's saying. She's like, "What? Our enemy's gonna reunite," and he's like, "That's okay. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that."
Yeah, right.
So that part, like,
Classic.
I like
Thrawn.
it, but also I feel like it was a large percent of this episode, but it's okay. It was pretty cool.
but at the end of the day, that's also
Minimal.
That's also the beauty of Thrawn, is that like even at that one point where he's pulling the troops back, and Morgan's looking at him like,
And the
he's crazy,
Caprito.
and he's like, it's like, no, we've taken acceptable losses. We've gotten just enough to see what our enemy is
He's actually said that a couple times now. Like,
Yeah.
like these losses are acceptable. Like,
It's like,
Well, yeah. Also, too, like he finds out that Balin kind of is Balin on the battle, so he's like, yeah, considering that
that took me 2
that we're
seconds.
he's like, considering that we're short one of our mercenaries, this is an acceptable outcome, you know. So he's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that throws me off a little bit about Thrawn in this is, and don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with it overall, but it is still a little weird to see is
What his face looks like?
no, his devotion
Or
to the Night Sisters.
hmm.
Like he's like, it seems like he's all in with helping these Night Sisters along as well. Whereas with everybody else, you could see there's a plan behind it, and yet I don't see his plan with the Night Sisters yet. Unless
Well, that's for us to see, I guess, in season 2 or whatever. You know what's gonna happen.
and that'll be cool. But and don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing that moment where he just sits there and finally, you've served my purpose and you're gone. But it's like
You think he could? You think he could do that though, with the Night Sisters?
once he gets back to the regular galaxy and he has the remnant brought together.
I feel like he
don't
doesn't
think-
really have. I don't feel like he
well,
really has
yeah,
much
maybe.
reason to, because it seems like he has them under his thumb. Like they're very subservient to him. So I feel like he is not worried about that, or won't really need to dispatch them, because they're not going to be per se a threat to him if they're, under his thumb or his control.
I mean, because
But-
I can already see the whole idea behind that at the end of the day. But I was gonna wait a little while. I'm talking about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in the next episode.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think
What else?
In my mind, I think I've covered most of what I've wanted to say about this episode. But I mean, the only other thing that I think caught me was the moment when Balin does let Shin go, and you can hear him, and the first thing he says to her is I understand you want to go with Thrawn and seek power there, but I have a greater purpose. And it's just like, now you're starting to get to that point where it's like, what is this greater purpose you're going after? And
Yeah.
the second fight with Ahsoka was amazingly done.
Yeah, it was really good.
But the funny part about that is, watching that second fight, I still had this feeling like Ahsoka can't beat him.
Yeah, she pretty much did lose, and then Huyang not rescues, but he comes and sends down like these flare things, and then she kind of steals his ride and takes off. She's like, I don't need to win, so
And
You clever girl.
technically she did lose that battle again. She's 0-2 on him, so
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
but yeah, let me stop there and let you guys start talking, because I could go on for a while.
You could go on for a while about that, eh?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the stuff that I want to say, I want to wait till the end of the second one, just because it's more like,
Connected.
yeah, more general about where we are from last week to this week, so to speak. Or not last week, last episode to this episode. Like, I feel like, yeah, once we cover the other episode, it'll make more sense.
Okay, we can do that. You guys good?
I think I'm good. How about you?
Yeah, we're fine. I mean, we can, like you said, we can cover we can cover both episodes if there's there's connection between some of them, right? So we'll also just read the next one, and then we can talk more about the Night Sisters and talk more about whatever, right? So
Okay. So
Do you want me to read that one?
sure.
All right. Part 8, The Jedi, the Witch, and the Warlord, with some runtime.
45 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Approximately 45 minutes. That's right.
Something like that.
To confront the Jedi, Elspeth is gifted Mother Talzin's sword by the Great Mothers, while Bridger constructs a new lightsaber using spare parts from his late master, Kanan Jarrus. After their ship is damaged by a fighter attack, Ahsoka, Ren, and Bridger make their way on foot to the Chimera, which has docked with the Eye of Sion. They are confronted by Elspeth and the Night Troopers, whom the Great Mothers keep resurrecting after they are killed. Ren uses the Force to help Bridger jump onto the Chimera. Then she stays behind to help Ahsoka, who kills Elspeth. The Eye of Sion jumps into hyperspace, leaving Ahsoka, Ren, and Huyang stranded on Peridia. As Thrawn and the Great Mothers arrive over Dathomir, Bridger escapes and reunites with Syndulla and Chopper. Ahsoka, Ren, and Huyang join the Noti and make their new home on Peridia, watched over by Anakin's spirit. Shin joins the bandits while Skull is guided to a mountain by a statue of the Mortis gods. Directed by Rick Famuyiwa and written by Dave Filoni.
Right.
So who's starting this one?
Where do we want to start with this one?
I mean, do I want to start?
You know what? You should start this time. Oh wait, did you start last time? Maybe you did.
I started last time.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm gonna jump right to the Sabine force pushing and I don't know, taking her lightsaber and putting it through that zombie death trooper, which by the way the name works on that, I guess. I wasn't like the whole series. I was kind of dreading. I didn't really want it to happen, to be honest. And to see it, it wasn't. I told my buddy, I was like, it wasn't over the top done. You know, it wasn't like it was like, oh, she's got the Force, she's gonna use it for the rest of the entire time. It's like it was like one like chink, she grabs it, puts it through the Death Trooper's head. Now, the Force push was a little like I felt like it had to have been a strong push. Like that was strong. Like did it? I don't know. It feel kind of over. That kind of felt a little over the top, I guess. But
yeah, before that too, they when the starship was hit by those fighters. And it was kind of the stabilizers were gone. Ahsoka and Ezra. Oh yeah, I guess it wasn't.
No, it wasn't Sabine. Yeah, it was Ezra. Yeah.
It was just Ezra.
That was a cool scene though, when she took the ship and just like hit both of the TIE fighters, and then the ship just went.
Yeah, I felt like that was.
I felt
like that was very Sabine. She's like,
oh yeah, for sure.
She's like, oh yeah, our ship's gone, but that's
I got them.
I got them. Yeah, that was very Sabine style.
I don't know. So yeah, for me, it wasn't as bad as I didn't want it to happen, but how it happened, it wasn't as bad as I thought it could have been. With her using the Force, like I wasn't like, oh, this is stupid. I was in the scene. I was just like, okay, I guess it happened. It wasn't bad. The Force push was a little much, I think. I don't know. I could have gone without the Force push, but the lightsaber, her getting the lightsaber, is like she only did it because she was in danger. Like she was just like, ah, and then just it happened like sort of like the Luke in the cave there with Wampa.
Like, it does feel like it does feel like they led up to it kind of nicely, like a fairly gradual. But I think, like you said, that Force push was a little bit. Him and Kanan did that same thing in Rebels, and Ezra was like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "Trust me, we've been doing this a while. We have a bond." Blah blah blah. Whereas Sabine's like,
they didn't have a bond. Like it wasn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll try. Oh,
yeah,
there we go.
I'll try. It looked like you've been doing it for a while. Like it was just like, and you're like, So yeah. Anyways, that's all I'm gonna say. Really. I mean, I'm not gonna beat it down. I just wanted to say that. I know Eldor's probably gonna say something about it, but
I do feel like I need to beat it a little bit down more. For one reason.
All right.
because leading into that, when they had first gone into the building,
Oh yeah.
well, at first
Right.
when they were working to go in, when Ahsoka and Ezra were trying to keep the door open, and they
Open the
said,
door,
you,
yeah.
and she went to me and said, "Help."
Yeah,
All right,
Sabine helped.
I had no issue with it because there's three of them.
But I don't even know if she helped there. You know, it
That's
doesn't.
the
It
thing.
Yeah, because the door barely opened too.
Right.
So it's like,
almost killed them on the way in. Like,
maybe she helped. Maybe.
So at that point, I'm like, I don't care. The biggest thing for me was suddenly here are all these stormtroopers. You have Ahsoka, Ezra, and Sabine. They're all standing there with lightsabers in their hands, and Sabine is blocking blaster bolts. And don't get me wrong, eventually they show her taking some blasts on the Beskar, and
yeah, she wasn't doing it very well.
and
Like,
Sabine, use your blasters,
yeah,
but
yes, mommy.
but for a couple seconds there, she was blocking blaster bolts, and she had blocked a good 5 or 6 of them. And I'm sitting there saying, "Wait a minute, she's not force sensitive enough yet. We've gotten nothing to where suddenly we've got nothing that tells me that she's adept enough that she can block blaster bolts. I don't.
Yeah, it's
this,
kind
this
of
is not. This is not
I feel like
possible.
I feel like the previous lightsaber scene with her, where she fought those bandits, she did show a little bit more skill with the lightsaber. So
but she
maybe it's
wasn't.
not
But she wasn't
that
blocking
unreasonable.
bolts. I mean, yeah, sure. If you're cutting people down, I mean, we saw Bo-Katan cut people down with the dark saber, but Bo-Katan wasn't stopping blaster bolts.
Yeah.
Um,
Ezra did say that too when they closed that door. Said something about her skill got better or something
so
with the lightsaber, not
Yeah.
like.
So don't get me wrong. I can understand you're better with a lightsaber. You're comfortable using it. I'm not trying to knock that, but blocking blaster bolts was a tiny bit on the much side. And to me, it also kind of took away a little bit from that moment where she finally did grab the lightsaber and put it through the stormtrooper. Which, by the way, if that was the first moment and she was able to pull that off, okay, I'll give you that one.
Yeah, yeah,
Everybody's got to have that one moment where where finally your life is on the line. You're feeding into what's left of the force, or you're about to die, and it works.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you that. I mean, they could have left it at that, and I would have been like, okay, that's fine. It's maybe even something to build on, but doesn't mean she's going to be a great Jedi or anything.
right.
But then we got to the Force push.
Yeah,
And yeah, I think you summed that up pretty well. It was a little much. I mean, if it had went the other way, I don't even think it couldn't have even gone the other way around. Because there's no way she would have been adept enough to make that jump, even if Ezra could have pushed her up there.
Yeah, because
So-
the jump he did was pretty gigantic as well.
Which I can understand. He's a Jedi. He has the Force on his side. That part doesn't bother me.
right.
Yeah, it just it seemed like a little bit much.
One little flaw, Filoni. One little flaw, buddy.
But you take that. But this is what I'm gonna say. You take that away. This episode was a masterpiece. I mean, this thing, seriously, chef's kiss. This was beautiful. This was done. This was a very well done episode on so many levels. I loved everything about it. I mean, Morgan Elsbeth being granted the Sword of Mother
Yeah, that was
Talzin.
cool.
That was amazing, and we've seen it in
That was
Clone
cool.
Wars.
Yeah. Well, I like
not-
the callback of the Talzin name, like
Yeah.
the sword of Talzin. You're like, oh man,
Yeah.
name dropping.
Yeah, I like the animation too, like when they turn her into a Night Sister. That looked really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was great. I enjoyed that. Just a callback to Kanan when
Yeah.
Ezra was building the lightsaber. I mean, just to talk about Kanan as a youngling, as a Padawan, him having one extra emitter That was the same one that Kanan used in.
He had two. Yeah.
In here, I get to pass it on to his student. I loved it.
I wasn't expecting Ezra to build like to start off kind of like he's like almost done building his lightsaber. I'm like, okay, like where did all this come from? Like where did he get the crystal? Like where did he get all that? You know, like I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, Yang must have had all that stuff there, but Kanan did.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, yeah, that's Hu Yang's thing. So I almost understood that.
Yeah.
I mean,
but even still, like in the Clone Wars, when he takes the younglings to learn how to build their lightsabers, it's usually like a quest to find your kyber crystal.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So that part is kind of usually not included. But no batteries in the box. Did he just pull out like
a random like kyber crystal he had like in his like little drawer or something? Like, oh look, I got this for you here. And then it was blue. I thought it was pretty cool. It was blue.
Yeah, pretty much Kanan straight up.
Well, they kind of
Kanan's was a bit longer. I think the blade is taller.
At the end of the day, Ezra's first lightsaber was blue as well.
Yeah.
So that kind of worked. It worked out in my opinion. I didn't have a problem.
Yeah, I almost thought he was like when it showed him building it. I thought he was gonna have it with the little blaster thing on the front.
It did, yeah. I agree. Yeah. I wonder if he would have kept the kyber crystal from his first one, or did he adapt it to the second one? You know, because I mean, it was cut in half by Vader. Was it? Was it Vader or was it?
Well, the lightsaber was Vader.
Yeah, so I wonder if he would have gathered the crystal and kept it, and it might have been on the. I don't know, like that's just stretching right now, but
yeah. Well, his second one was green too, right? So
the second one was
yeah.
Well, the one that
the one that
Sabine's got.
Yeah. Moving on. I mean, the fight between Organa Elsbeth and Ahsoka Tano, that was a fun fight to watch.
Okay, so me and my buddy, I asked him after or before because we had kind of assumed that we'd get another fight with Morgan and whatnot, and knowing that she, the actor herself has, the martial arts background and all this stuff, we were wondering if she had a lot to do with the choreography in that fight, because I mean it did seem a little different from the other stuff with the lightsabers that were going on between Ahsoka and everybody else. Like it seemed like she was putting her own twist on that fight, because it was a different style. Like it wasn't the style of the samurai, right? It was just like it was a different style. Like, so we tried to look it up, we couldn't find anything, but I feel she had a little part in that choreography.
But,
it did seem like she was maybe doing a little bit more like I don't know, maybe more trying to be like a Night Sister, you know what I mean? Like trying to emphasize that she's more powerful, and through the changing of her fight style and stuff.
Right.
That's what it kind of felt like to me. I'm like, oh, she's like, Morgan 2.0.
The upgrade, yeah.
But I also wouldn't expect her to be fighting using the forms of a lightsaber fighter anyway.
No, but no, I get that.
She had fought against Ahsoka previously too, right? In Mandalorian season 2. Well, her and Mando.
And
Mando.
And she also fought with a different weapon then too, because she was fighting with that staff at the time. And now she's fighting with a sword. Yes, I could definitely see the differences in the fighting style, but I kind of think that's cool, actually, that you have somebody that is experienced in an art of fighting that can bring a different perspective to a fight like that.
And I think the fact that like her dad is a stunt guy too, I guess, or whatever. Like he was the protege of Bruce Lee, I guess.
Okay.
A friend of trained with, I think I want to say she's the goddaughter of Bruce Lee or something like that.
She might be, yeah, but I think her dad was Bruce Lee's protege. Oh, hello, camera. What are you doing? Jeez, I hit my desk hard and it went flying. Okay. Anyways, yeah.
Settle
So
down
that's what I. What's that?
Settle down over there. Getting
So
wild.
excited
Getting
about it,
wild.
Getting wild over here, guys. Yeah, no, I think that's what I read. Nah, I'm gonna turn the lights off now. Is that okay? No, sure. Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool.
So yeah, one thing I have to say, like there was other fight scenes in this that I wasn't a huge fan of. There was when the night troopers first come down, like they send them down and they're not quite reanimated yet. There's like this fight scene where Ahsoka and Ezra, is Sabine still there? Anyways, they're together and they're fighting these night troopers. And it just feels very like choreographed rather than a fight. Like they're just like dancing around. Like I'm like, is this a fight? I don't know. To me, that part I wasn't really a huge fan of, to be honest. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
that was the part where Sabine was blocking bastard bolts.
yeah. And,
yeah. It could be, yeah.
I mean, they were working well together, and Ezra's pushing the night troopers into Ahsoka's blades, and like,
Yeah.
I
don't know.
It was almost like they were like doing like one of those I don't know. I don't know what to call it. That kind of
like
dance,
a choreography, like when you're watching one of those shows where they do the choreographed dances and stuff. Like that's what it felt like to me, rather than a fight.
They're like going behind each other, going like this, and like this, and like
yeah. So that part kind of took me out of it a little bit. I'm just like, oh man, this is unfortunate on this this scene right here. But it was of course followed by the awesome. I think the fight scene with Elspeth was really awesome for sure.
Yep.
But yeah, the reason I was holding back before in between for episode 1 is because I wanted to say or not episode 1, episode 7. Is because I feel like between these two episodes, very little happened as far as the story. Like we at the very end see Ezra and Thrawn go back to the other place, but other than that, like not a lot happened other than just these sort of nostalgia moments where they're like, oh, Thrawn, he's epic. Ezra having his reunion stuff. Oh, Thrawn is epic. And it kind of just kept going back and forth between that. And I'm like, I still want to see what Balin is looking for. I want to see like where we're going with this. I felt very dissatisfied with how far the story progressed over these two episodes.
I don't think I'm so disappointed with how far the story progressed. I think the problem is, at the end of the day, I'm going to put it this way. I don't know if I would feel this. Would you feel the same way about this if Ray Stevenson hadn't passed away?
I don't know. I just feel like
probably would.
For 3 episodes, we had him being like all mysterious about this thing that he's searching for and no answers. And it's just like, you could have given that to us if Thrawn was maybe talking a little bit faster.
blame it on his dialogue. Yeah.
Well, the reason I said it that way was because there's a small part of me. Yeah, I'm disappointed in it a little bit, but it's mainly because I don't think I get to see Ray Stevenson finish out this story now.
Yeah,
Whereas, if we had known something was going to happen, or this was the end of the Ahsoka series, if this was the series finale, then I would have been utterly disappointed. What the hell?
Yeah.
Why did we not get any answers?
Yeah.
But some of it, didn't you feel like some of the story was like, how like Ahsoka and Sabine's like, let's move on. This is our home. Like, it's almost like this is our home now. Like, is their story done? Like, not doing anything? What's going on? Like, Anakin. I guess
Oh,
whatever. And then Shin goes to the rebels, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm with you guys now." All right.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
what? Like what's going
I
on?
feel like there was a little thing too when Ahsoka was fighting Shin and she's like, I can help you. You almost feel like if there is next season and all that stuff, I feel like maybe there might be some kind of thing between them where they might become friends or something.
I still think like that's still a redemption character. Like she's still gonna be redeemed for, you know, she's like, oh, I think I've been going down the wrong path, you know, help me, blah blah blah. I still think she's gonna, like, you know, be allies or something if there is a season 2 or whatever.
Yeah, I think maybe the three of them team up against Balin and whatever this powerful force thing.
Wow,
maybe
we kind of figure
something.
we kind of figure that it's kind of pointing towards the Mortis stuff, right?
Right. Yeah, because of
Well,
the statue, for sure.
Yeah.
So obviously he's standing on the darn thing. Like,
Yeah.
how much more of a clue can you give? Like pointing, oh, we're over here.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot there. I'm excited to see where the story goes though, because I really want to know where this Mortis stuff goes. When they brought it back in Rebels, I don't know if I was expecting to see them bring it back, and it's like now that they brought it back, it's like, now I'm kind of curious as to what the whole intention is with it. Now we're really pushing into it. I really want to know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little disappointed it got cut short. Season 2 better have some answers.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen at least a glimpse of what the actual thing is that he's finding. Whether it's a person or an object or
well, we just know that it's a beacon.
I don't know.
A beacon in the distance, like in the mountains, like, you know.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Like I feel a little I don't know, a little, what's the word? Like Balin and Shin, they weren't at all in the episode until the end.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, every episode it had them in it. Every episode had something to do with Shin and Balin, and then all of a sudden the last episode had nothing, almost nothing of them, right? And I wonder, like, was this on purpose? Was this, did they actually have more stuff for them and they had to cut things out? You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if it was like budget cut. Like, are they spending too much money on these shows? Like, you know, I don't know. What do you guys think? Like,
I think
it just
I
seemed
don't know.
weird.
I think they just were leaning more into the nostalgia than anything actually happening in these 2 episodes. Like, it was more just about, oh, there's Thrawn and he's talking, and you know we love Thrawn, and oh, there's Ezra and he's talking, and we love
Come on,
Ezra.
Thrawn, pick up the pace, Thrawn. Like, holy jeez, like
I'm like,
say your
like
dialogue.
It just, after every single
holy.
scene, it just keeps cutting to one of those things where they just have this meaningful little dialogue, either from Ezra or from Thrawn, and then we go back to the story, and then it's like, man, I don't think we're getting anywhere with this episode. Like, I kept looking at the time, I'm like, we're 10 minutes in, nothing's happened yet.
Yeah. We've had 2 dialogues with Thrawn, and like, he said like 4 words. Like, holy man. Don't get me wrong, and I'm not bashing Thrawn. I love it, but it's just like the length of the episode. We need, if you're gonna have somebody who talks like that, maybe have it longer. I don't know, like, you know.
Yeah, give us longer episodes or just more happening, because I don't know. It's just, like I said, it's not that I dislike these episodes. I just feel like I still have the exact same questions we had on the last episode. Like, what is Balin doing? What is Shin doing? What is going on here? I mean, we now know who's going back home is Ezra and Thrawn, so that's one answer we got, I guess.
And they finished off on Dathomir.
We got the finish of the Morgan Elspeth arc, so to speak.
Yeah.
But then again, they were also quick to say that she was dead, so I feel like maybe in the future we may see her again as like a reanimated, like, Night Sister spirit type role, maybe.
Which is possible.
Yeah.
Because now she does have the gift of shadow.
But I mean, I believe we needed to have some questions left behind. But I do agree with you. Yeah, there's some questions I would have liked to have had answered.
I mean, obviously they're setting up for the season 2 or whatever else they're gonna pull, or maybe there might be an episode on Mandalorian or Mando 4. I don't know. Like, they could? I don't know. Like they're leaving it open for something. Like, you know what I mean? I get it. You can't end every season with it be all like sunflowers and sunshine and whatever. Like, you gotta give us some. You know, you gotta set it up for something. But it did seem a little bit cut short for a few of the stories in that show. Like, just like, no, we're not doing Balin right now. Oh no, Shin, we'll just show her on the mountain. Like, you know what I mean? Let's just like, all right.
I mean, I'm just trying to think of a couple of the things in the episode that kind of hit me. One of the two things I can that kind of really hit me were we finally see Mirai.
Yeah.
At the end of the episode.
Yeah.
What was that? I missed that.
We finally saw
Mirai. The owl.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
Which
true.
kind of led to the idea that despite everything that has happened, and I think when you heard Ahsoka say, "Well, we're home," I don't think necessarily she meant home, but Mirai is there. Mirai is there.
Yeah.
With Mirai there, you were meant to be here. You have a purpose here.
Right.
It wasn't your time to leave just yet. So
yeah, I could see that.
So there is more cut to come here. So
I like the Imperial shuttle ship things that the night troopers dropped down on. I don't know if you guys paid attention to that. I'm really big into ships and stuff. They kind of look cool as like a TIE fighter shape, but in like a shuttle form. I thought that was I don't know if it's new per se, but it definitely caught my eye as a very cool looking ship.
No, the dropships, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were using those in Rebels.
Yeah, those are the Rebel ships. Yeah.
Nice.
That was a cool bring back to the Rebel show for sure. Seeing those things.
The other thing that I really liked was at the end when Ezra finally shows up on Home 1, and they all go out there and they see this stormtrooper come off, and instantly Chopper goes right up to him because Chopper recognizes him right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like, how would he recognize just from his like the way he walks? The manner of like his.
Well, Chopper several times in Rebels, even actually I think in Ahsoka he does it where he's scanning for life forms and he can tell the difference between different life forms.
Yep.
So I think he does have those capabilities.
Yeah. So I think he knew right away, and because even when Harrison, they're like Chopper, what are you doing? Like
that was a pretty cool scene, like the intensity of everybody, and then he takes off the helmet and she's like, Ezra?
I'm home.
That was one thing I noticed. I was gonna count how many times he was talking about going home. I think he says it quite a few.
Yeah.
He's like, we could talk about that, but going home is pretty important.
Yeah.
Oh, I love how he kind of called out Sabine too. She's like, Ahsoka was training me. He's like, really? Why? Oh, yeah, I guess you did train a little when I was starting out. That was funny.
Really? Why? Burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, so anything else you guys want to talk about with stars this episode?
I mean, Anakin at the end. Seeing Anakin, the Force Ghost at the end.
I think that was great also. The fact
super.
And I think that tied into Mirai as well, very well.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I was kind of confused by his expression. I couldn't tell like if he looked worried or happy. I don't know. It was kind of
I think he looked happy.
Kind of
I think he was
abstract.
like, yeah. I mean, it wasn't clear as day, but I think he wasn't like, crap, like, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the point of him being like, he's there now, like he's kind of watching her now or whatever. And I don't know if, like, do you think that she saw him or he just appeared after she turned? You know what I mean? Like, what do you guys?
Honestly,
Yeah.
I think she saw him.
Yeah.
I think it was kind of almost like that Luke Skywalker moment at the end of Return of the Jedi, where he's looking out and he sees them all looking at him, and
Right.
and like Leia comes by and pulls him away, but she doesn't see it. But that's exactly what Sabine does. She goes and Ahsoka, come on, we're leaving. She can't see it because she's not attuned enough to the Force yet.
Right. Yep.
So yeah, that's kind of the way I kind of felt like they were trying to mirror that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. And also, I think that training scene with Anakin when she's in the world beyond worlds played a pretty big role, because like a lot of the theme of it was about apprentice and master, right? So I mean, she kept thinking about like, oh, I kind of gave up. Like she feels bad about like having given up on Sabine in the past, and
Right.
remembering that Anakin was always there for her no matter what. So she, she started to be more committed to Sabine and all that.
That scene right there when they were on the ship and she was saying that, like, I had like a jerk in my. I was like, holy crap, this is emotional, man. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like I was feeling a little. I was like, oh man, I hope I'm gonna cry. Like it was a good scene. Like no matter what your decision is now going forward, I'm with you. Whatever, blah blah blah. Right. So I was like, oh man.
Yeah. Even if she becomes the Sith Lord.
Yeah. The Sith Lord. What the heck, man? What the heck, man?
I don't know if you guys remember, I was predicting that at the beginning.
That she'd become, yeah. Still might happen, man.
The helmet theory. The helmet theory.
Okay, yeah. So it was funny when she. I don't remember her having. I think she probably did have her helmet. I just don't know where. She always loses her helmet, and then it reappears again. You're like, where the heck did it come from?
I also was wondering that, so I looked back. Hu Yang, when she lost it on Cetos when they were before she went to the Henge.
Yeah,
because she was fighting Shin in the forest, and Hu Yang before Hera even has arrived there, Hu Yang has already like kind of cleaned up the scene, so to speak. So I'm pretty sure it was on the ship.
It was on the ship. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It does. It just seems like she's always losing her helmet, and then got it again, and then that scene where she picks it back up when it's on the ground. I totally forgot that it fell off her head. To be honest, like I wasn't like it's on and off. It's off so often you don't even think about it being on, and then when it's on, you don't even realize it, and then you're like, where'd the helmet come from? It's like sitting behind a pillar. She picked it up before she left. I was like, anyways, yeah. I get it. Like it's there, but it just doesn't. I don't know. It wasn't making sense, but
yeah, if Mando was watching, he'd be like, man, put that thing on. Jeez, this is the way.
we're gonna glue that to your head. Yeah. So there was another thing that I wanted to bring up. So the scene where they're fighting the night troopers in the temple on the base. So when they came in, so what I'm wondering if the night troopers were actually already dead. Because and I know there was that scene where they're like, these are the volunteers, blah blah blah. They went down. I was like, okay, but I guess I don't know. Like, what do you guys think? Like, it does seem like they weren't, but I don't know. Like,
yeah, I do think that they weren't, because afterwards they had the the menacing green glow in the helmet and stuff.
They were also going. They weren't even talking anymore. Like
one arm is up,
like no, zombie. Okay. I think I answered my own question. But,
But I thought that was really out of place when they were talking about the volunteers, and he's like, "Oh, did you make sure they know? Like, since when does Thrawn care about like the lives of
Yeah, right,
stormtroopers?
yeah,
You
right.
know, that's a
Yeah.
pretty new
It-
new piece of his character."
Especially every time he's going, that's an acceptable loss. That's an acceptable loss. Like he's like, he doesn't care. Like,
Yeah, no, he's like, "Did you make sure that they filled out their permission slips and you know,
yeah, their waivers. Yeah. Yeah. But it was pretty. It was pretty crazy. Like, so the Death Troopers obviously were already dead then.
Yeah, because they had like skull faces.
They already had like, because that doesn't decay that fast, man. Like, you know what I mean? And they were strong. So right off the bat, they were strong. So you're like, oh man, they're already dead.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, they got like
So-
heavy armor. They're big. They seem bigger than
Yeah.
the average.
so maybe like,
trooper.
I wonder if he's got more. He had more of those, like, come back to life or whatever. But so all the coffins that were in the cargo pit bay or the cargo bay. So do you guys still think that they're all stormtroopers, like all stormtroopers that died? My buddy had said it was like, maybe these are all like Night sisters and brothers that they're bringing over to Dathomir or something. Like, I'm like, I don't know. Like,
I don't know.
I mean,
I feel like I might be leaning in that direction myself.
Yeah.
Because, I mean,
Which,
obviously...
the Night Sister direction or the Trooper
the
direction?
Night Sister direction, because I have a feeling that somewhere those sisters know the Tri-Sisters or whoever they are, because we don't really have names for them or anything.
Yeah, I think they have names for them.
Did we...
I think there's names, yep.
For which the Great
The Great
Mother?
Mothers. Yeah,
The Great
I think
Mothers,
they.
yeah, that's it. But I know they don't.
I'll look that way.
They obviously don't sense Talzin anymore. They know she's gone. And I don't know if they know how it happened, but then again, at that point, Thrawn could have told them how everything went down as well. I mean, because obviously he could have been around long enough to see what had happened. So maybe they're preparing to. I mean, obviously they re-land at Dathomir, so it could end up where, hey, they're bringing all those coffins back, and they're looking to repopulate Dathomir with Night Sisters and Night Brothers.
Yeah, there is a lot of mystery surrounding that, like, because we don't really know what happened to Dathomir. We just know that at some point all of them were dead and there's zombies on the planet, and there's like eventually no Night Sisters. So we're finding out that they're over there in that other universe. But
oh no, we very well know what happened. I mean,
Yeah, the Empire wiped them out.
no, but I'm saying, like, for them to get back to that other place, did they travel there, or are they from there? Like, do we know that?
well, we don't know if they're originally from Peridia, or if maybe a group of them got to Peridia. Maybe they're colonized there or something. We don't know. We don't know if the chicken came before the egg on this one. So
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, for all we know, it could be like a large group of them moved to Peridia to escape the wrath of the Empire or whatever else happened there. So I don't know.
So, so the names of the Great Mothers, Clotho, Actropa, and Lachesis.
okay, I
So
definitely didn't pick those up.
So the only one that was prominent, because the other two I don't know, but the Clotho was the main one in the middle, the one that
the one that did all the talking.
one that did all the talking, yeah. And her the actor that plays her, she's in a bunch of other like sci-fi stuff. She's from The Expanse, or she's from one of those other places, right? She's kind of known over there.
Okay.
But yeah, they have names.
Contingent is saying they're named after the Fates. So that's pretty cool.
Okay.
A little bit of throwback to that.
That's cool. Definitely learned something there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
But yeah, for the cargo, it's really hard for me to decide what I think. But I don't know. It's got to be something important, right? Because that's his whole goal, is get all this cargo there. So
well, I still feel like it could be half and half. as well, right? Like, I still feel this is how he's going to get his army of stormtroopers, you know, even though they're going to be all zombie troopers. Like, so I don't know how that's going to work out. They're all going to run around, half of them without guns, just going like dragging their legs around. Like, what's going to happen? Like, so that's why I'm like a little like, I don't know if that's going to work, but the whole Night Sister thing kind of makes sense a little bit too, right? So
yeah, the Night Sister thing definitely seems more like impactful. Like if he was able to repopulate Dathomir with the Night Sisters, they would have a great power that could help him, right? But
right. Well, that's it too, and I think that's the long goal for him to have an ally like the you know the Night Sisters and Dathomir with him, right? And that's why I don't think that he's gonna like get rid of them at some point, like.
But I think that's part of the idea in my head as well that I've been having as I've been going through over this, is that maybe the idea is bring back the Night Sisters, repopulate Dathomir, rebuild the strength of the Night Sister army to take on the Jedi, to keep the Jedi, the remaining Jedi occupied while he worries about taking over the galaxy. Because he knows the New Republic is fairly weak, and the minute we hear Thrawn has returned, pretty much anyone within the New Republic that's still feeling for the Empire is probably going to turn at that point.
I was still hoping for that at the end. I was still hoping that he would announce himself.
I was kind of hoping for that announcement too. I really want to see the Shadow Council. I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for too. Yeah, like him just appear out of the hologram, like I'm back. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because they're waiting for him, right? So that would be very exciting. Yeah. Oh, I did think of some too. What if those are like clones of Palpatine or something like that?
Oh, please don't be that. Please don't be that.
But I mean, know that's something that's in the works.
See,
right?
no, I don't think Thrawn would have known about Project Necromancer. Like I don't think he's aware of that.
Not. Yeah, maybe not.
Though Thrawn knew more than he let on.
Yeah, but
it does seem like Thrawn is still kind of like sort of living in the past. He's like, long live the Empire, and the Empire's dead. But
because I mean, when he took off with Ezra, like Palpatine was still alive, right? So he has no idea, you know, he had no idea that had happened, I guess. Right? So
unless the Night Sisters, you know,
maybe the Night Sisters,
through their magic, they might know stuff. Yeah.
I don't know.
The magics. Oh, one thing I was hoping would happen with the Night Sisters is, do you guys remember when they turned Savage into a beast, turned him into a savage? They do the magic, and then there's this sound effect that they recurringly used as like sort of a symbol of the Night Sister magic. It's kind of like, boom, like a faint like pinging sound kind of thing.
Yeah,
I thought maybe they would kind of use that sound at some point just to kind of bring us back to that as a a nostalgia thing. But
or maybe when they were doing it with Elsbeth or whatever.
Yeah, if she like touched her on the head and it was like bing, like it does that thing. Whatever. Yeah. I don't know.
Or when they were bringing the night troopers back, like.
Yeah, that would have been a great. That would have been something I would have enjoyed as a Night Sister fan.
Yeah.
So is there
anything else, boys?
I'm trying to think if there's anything last things I want to cover here. But I feel like we've covered so much as well. I think I'm good for covering the episode.
Okay.
But it does lead me to one question I want to ask you guys before we get into a couple other things before we end. Do you have any bold predictions for what we're going to see from this?
Wow. We're gonna see Thrawn again.
Ooh, whoa!
Oh, hot take. Hot take.
Let's see. I mean, how much like I don't. It's hard to tell what they're gonna do now because with the whole Balin thing, it's hard to say what kind of story they had played out or laid out. Like you can't, I just don't see them not pursuing the story still. You know what I mean? Just because the way that they left it, you can't like you can't just go nope, that didn't happen. Like and just like not even bring it up. Like it's got to be a big part of the story what they're playing into the Mortis stuff. It's got to be. So
yeah,
I don't see them not pursuing it in season 2. Which leads to like, are they gonna recast? Like, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of something I was kind of wondering.
Are we doing that question right now, or are we?
Like I don't know. We don't have to, but I mean.
Well, I mean, let's do this. I'm going to cover one thing here because I left a couple news stories behind before we did this, and
okay,
one of the things I did want to mention was how at the end of the last episode of Ahsoka this week, we did get a lot of the people that were on the show had kind of gone out and remembered Ray Stevenson for that last scene that he was there, and basically just kind of remembered him for the impact he had on the show. I believe a couple people, the girl that plays Shin Hati, she put something to remember him by. I know Rosario Dawson left something behind, and a lot of people, because it's sad that we're not going to see any more of Ray Stevenson after this. I think he did such a great job of this role.
Absolutely.
And it's such a shame that we don't get more of him. So it was nice to see that they came out and just kind of gave him his extra honor after passing away after this ended. But I was going to use that to kind of lead into that question of what do we think we're going to do with what do you think they're going to do with Ray Stevenson's character now? What do you think we're going to do with Balin Skull? Are we going to recast him? Who do you think we'll recast him with? I don't know if I meant to go there with that question of the bold prediction though.
Sorry. Like to me, that was like one of the stories that we don't know, so that's why I brought it up.
Well, but that was also me sitting here at this point saying, not realizing, it really fits into that category as well. So I think kind of all of that can really work together.
Right.
But let's start with the Ray Stevenson thing, since that's the first thing we brought up. Do you think we recast him? Do you think, if you do, who do you think we go with?
I think they do, because I don't see if this character is supposed to be more of the story. Like, let's say like the character was just supposed to just make like a cameo or something like that, or an episode or whatever it is to come back. Maybe they deep fake it. Maybe they do something, in that sense. But the way that the story seems like it's going with the Mortis stuff, I feel like they're going to recast. They would have to. And who? I have no idea. Like, I know there's been theories online. There's been a few pictures where they kind of edited it into a whatever. Like, Liv Shriver was one of the ones. He was Sabretooth in X-Men, and he was in Scream and all that stuff. But I think there was a few others. Like, there was some stupid ones, like George Clooney with the white beard. I'm like, come on, guys, like seriously.
Come on, we can do better than that.
like I think Liv would probably work, especially with the way that he is, the way he acts and stuff. I think it would be a good fit. But I mean, it's pure speculation at this point because whatever the fans think it is, it's usually not the way that it goes. In most cases, right? So, but I think they'll recast based on the story that they're trying to produce.
So what I think is, I don't think they will, or I don't think they need to recast because, like, if it was any other show, I would say yeah they have to recast. But Star Wars is so good at doing the CGI versions of like Tarkin in Rogue One and stuff like that it almost looks real. That I think they could pull off a CGI version of him, depending on, like you said, how much he is in the show. Honestly, this whole season, I thought Anakin was CG. Like, he doesn't really look real to me. But
like they de-aged him, pretty sure
yeah.
a tiny bit, right? So
Yeah, like he looks like a CG model potentially. But yeah, so I do think that route is tangible, and they potentially could do that. But also, I like what Contingent was saying there, that he could. His prediction is that the Mortis thing, he would go over to the mountain, and then there's the pool of knowledge and drinking, and then he becomes the sun, and then they change the actor. That kind of sounds like an interesting idea as well too. But
that's true. Yeah.
if I were to pick a actor, I was kind of thinking about this. I think Josh Brolin would kind of, they would have to give him a beard and all that kind of stuff to make him look like the character. But to me, I could see him kind of doing that role well.
Okay. I can see that.
So I see both sides of this. I was talking to somebody earlier today about it because I saw you brought it up that maybe we should talk about this. And I just brought up the question, and what somebody said to me was kind of interesting. It was like, we could actually go through the entire season 2 without him. And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, well, if you think about it, you could spend the whole season with Ahsoka and Sabine basically just trying to chase him down and never really going and finding him. Just basically every time you get there, he's already on to the next step of where he's headed in the story, and he's just a step ahead of you every step of the way. And until you get to that end point, which leads into one of the bold predictions I was going to have, and Contingent kind of beat me to it, was we see Abeloth. I mean, because I think Abeloth was eventually meant to be a big part of this story, as part of the Mortis angle.
Yeah.
And I could see her having him drink from the pool and suddenly, like you said, becoming the sun. Because somewhere in this story, I believe Anakin is truly the father as the chosen one.
Right.
And Ahsoka is technically the daughter at this point, and I believe that's why Mirai protects her.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting. Yeah.
And then enter Sam Witwer as the son.
See, that's where you lose me. That's where you lose me. But
I think, yeah, I know a lot of people are just like, oh, Sam Witwer should be in this.
But
yeah. Well, I wanted him to be Barack Starkiller, but it was not a thing.
But at the same time, I've kind of went looking around, and I did the same thing you guys did. I looked online at a couple of different names that could potentially replace Balin, and I heard about Leaf Schreiber, and I don't know. There's something about when I look at Leaf Schreiber, I just don't see it. I don't know what it is. I just
probably his eyes.
It might be, but that might be it. I don't know. But when I looked at it, I don't see him there. And
yeah, I think the toughest thing in the Star Wars universe with replacing actors is, in Star Wars, every character has to be like noticeable without seeing who it is. They always talk about this. Like if you see a silhouette of that character, you know who it is. If you see like just the beard, you know who it is. Things
Yeah.
like that. So I feel like when you start changing actors, you really start muddying those waters, so to speak.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's tough. That's why I lean more towards the CGI Balin.
But the scare. Okay, so the first one I saw that actually caught my eye, that was like, that's an interesting one, was what's his name from Gladiator?
Oh,
I can't think. Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe, yeah.
And I looked at it and I was like, wow, he actually would fit, but they can't afford him. So let's get him out of the picture right now.
He's pretty pricey.
Pretty
pricey.
As I looked,
but then again, they did have some pretty huge names in Mando season 3 there with Jack Black and Lizzo and all that kind of cameo stuff.
And you never know. Someone like him might say Star Wars. Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
So
maybe.
But I think he could actually. He's calmed down in his old age, and I think he could possibly do the role very well.
I'm actually looking at some current pictures of him. I think he would have to do a little bit of training.
Well,
a little bit.
But we've seen what the guy's capable of, so I don't worry that it couldn't happen. Another picture I saw that actually surprised me, and unfortunately he's already in Star Wars. Clancy Brown.
Clancy, yeah.
I took a look at him, and it's like he's not that far off from looking like Ray Stevenson. If he didn't already have a role, I wouldn't argue with it. But the one that actually I looked at and really caught my eye, I was like, I kind of think this guy would be great in the role, and he kind of would fit pretty well, because I've seen that he's kind of been that kind of character. I don't know if you guys know who Liam Cunningham is.
Sounds familiar.
Liam Cunningham. He played the Onion Knight in Game of Thrones.
Oh yes, yeah.
That's the kind of role he played in Game of Thrones.
Davos.
Yeah, and he does kind of look a little like Stevenson there.
As I looked at him, I was like, "That's a winner." Bring him on. I think it's an instant win.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Liam Cunningham, guys. We said it here. It was said here.
We make our guesses.
You heard it here first on the Shadow Collective podcast. Let's go.
I'm sure somebody out there said it first, but you know what?
Probably.
But if you didn't hear it there,
we approve. We got this. You got the stamp from us.
Yeah.
It matters,
the Shadow Collective seal of approval.
Yeah.
But I have a bit of a prediction for the other thing as well.
Go for it.
So what I think from the next episode or next season, sorry. Like I was saying, I don't necessarily think it has to be titled Ahsoka. They could easily call it Ezra or some other thing too.
I thought we already said it's Chopper.
Yeah, Chopper season 1. But yeah, what I think is we're gonna see basically paralleling stories where we have the Peridia story and the home galaxy, whatever we call that story. So we'll have like Hera and Ezra potentially like reuniting with Zeb. They do talk about Zeb saying that he's training recruits for the New Republic.
Right.
In that episode, Sabine says that. So I mean, potentially we could see some kind of reuniting between those characters, and then of course the Thrawn arc of him meeting up with the council and all that, and then the paralleling story on Peridia would be the whatever's happening with Balin. like him becoming more powerful or becoming the sun or whatever is going to happen with that. Maybe he gets a really powerful ally or whatever that case is. Him being the secondary villain, so we have the two villains, Thrawn and Balin, kind of equal in these stories. This is just a prediction, but yeah, these are what I'm envisioning. Is these paralleling stories, and then Ahsoka and Sabine helping out the Roti, fighting off bandits and Shin and stuff, and then eventually Shin being so like defeated by Sabine and Ahsoka that she, caves and has her redemption and becomes, friends with them. Maybe we have you know, master with two apprentices or something to that degree. Maybe just a team up between those three to fight Balin and whatever this powerful force is. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm picturing. Is just kind of a two-story paralleling kind of thing going on, and potentially a reemergence of like maybe Mandalorian with Hera and them, like maybe because they're fighting. That story is about him and Din Grogu going off into the Outer Rim to find Imperial remnants, right? So kind of around that same time, it kind of would mesh together that they would be part of that story potentially. So that's my
Um,
See
prediction.
that?
I mean, it could be a whole bunch of stuff. Like I'm wondering if they're gonna bring in. So now I think the parallel thing is kind of what they're doing because they're not gonna leave the Peridia thing, and everybody's gonna come back from Peridia or whatever it is. Like I think they're gonna stay there, do their story over there with the Mortis stuff and all that stuff. Well, the Thrawn stuff, I think we'll see a reemergence of Luke Skywalker. I think in season 2, possibly, because they're gonna need, there's 2 Jedi not even there now, right? So they're gonna have to bring in, the master
The big
himself,
guns.
right? The big guns, right? So I think we'll see a reemergence of Luke, possibly join the rebels to try to fight Thrawn. Like I feel like they're trying to play into the sort of era of the Empire sort of stuff.
I think they kind of have to, yeah.
And yeah, you know what I mean? So are we gonna see Luke? Could they do something with Han? Like, you know what I mean? Like he'll be around. He's there, right? So I know, I don't see them like being in a bunch of episodes, but I could see that be reemerging a little bit because that was the original book, the books and stuff, like they were all a part of that, right? So so that's kind of what I agree with a lot of the stuff that you said too, Swamp. So
Another thing I would love to see, I don't know if it's quite yet. I feel like this might be more something for the film, like the crossover final event kind of thing, is I would love to see, I think I kind of mentioned this in a previous episode, the Knights of Ren, how that kind of starts to develop. I would love to see, see more of that and how that comes to be and stuff, because that's something that I find pretty interesting. And we know eventually that, of course, we have like Kylo Ren, becoming a big part of the First Order and all that kind of stuff. So I hope we, eventually see some of that before this this whole series of things comes to an end.
I think that is something we're going to see. Mainly because if you go back to, well, they had written a trilogy that was meant like around this time period, right after Return of the Jedi, when the New Republic was starting to rebuild, and it was a trilogy called Aftermath, and we were starting to get into the idea of where everybody is in their place in the universe right now, but not as much the main characters. But we know the main characters get their little spots in this trilogy. But part of that was starting to see these acolytes, so to speak. We don't get a name for them as like the Knights of Ren or anything like that, but they're going around, and what they end up finding along the way is Vader's lightsaber. and they end up getting Vader's lightsaber, and they cause a lot of. They basically wipe a place out just to get Vader's lightsaber, and it's kind of supposed to be the starting point for everything that we know. Eventually, because eventually they get the Mask of Vader. They get they're looking for anything related to Darth Vader. So we started building into that. So I think the idea that maybe somewhere along the way, maybe you see a couple of these so-called Knights of Ren, or just these acolytes of Ren that we don't know who they really are at this point. Maybe just seeing them, maybe they sweep in, maybe they find the little the box that was on the front of Vader's uniform or something like that was mangled up, and they take it and they go somewhere with it. I'm just throwing things out there, obviously, but just something that they might have found that, hey, and we're gonna take this back, and even if that's all it is, just to say, hey, they're getting started.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I would love to see. Just something connecting to that, because right now it's I don't know, somewhat of a mystery to me because I don't read books.
No, and I haven't read a lot of the books in a long time, but that was one of the ones when I was like deep into like catching up on the sticking with the canon before they just started making too many books for me to keep up with. But as far as my bold predictions, now the Luke Skywalker one was one I was going to bring up. Eventually you're gonna flush Luke out.
Yeah,
I think it has to happen. It's to me, it's not even really all that bold of a prediction. One of my bold predictions, though, is I do believe at the end of the day, Shin Hati is basically the Mara Jade of this series.
right. Interesting. Yep.
I think at the end of the day, like you said, she's going to become defeated. She's going to turn back. She's going to turn to the light. We don't necessarily know she ever really was at the light to begin with.
Right.
But I have a feeling when they get back to the regular galaxy, she'll meet with Luke, and Luke will end up taking her on and training her instead of Ahsoka. Whereas in my mind, another thing I see is now that he's on Home One, I see Ezra taking Jason Syndulla on now.
Yeah.
I think that's something we're going to see very quickly as we see where that story goes. And once they meet, and once he starts telling Jason about his father and what a good Jedi he was, and I think we're going to that's really going to start that rolling for them.
One thing I want to say about the Mara Jade theory is I feel like the only thing that's missing for me as far as that theory is that Mara Jade was Palpatine's servant, so to speak, his helper.
But I feel
and I don't know if we know if Shin was per se around, or a part of the Empire in that degree.
But I think we're also not going to get this story down to the letter either. I mean,
no,
right? Yeah.
So where do you bring it in? And Shin just seems to be the character that makes the most sense at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, because
it's kind of like when we were talking about Starkiller, how they could have just made him sort of an Inquisitor instead of like the full story as we've seen it in the games and stuff, if they did want to bring him into canon or whatever. Same kind of idea, just a loose interpretation, so to speak.
Right, but I think that could be part of what brings Luke Skywalker down as well. Maybe somewhere along the way, maybe we get back to this story of where Ben Solo ends up taking down the Academy. Maybe he kills Shin, and maybe that breaks Luke's spirit, because maybe Luke, I mean, obviously Mara Jade and Luke get married, have children, and we don't hear about Shinhati. Maybe it was Luke Skywalker and Shinhati. They fell in love. They got married. Maybe she was about to have a child or something.
Yeah,
You could see where that would break the spirit of Luke Skywalker if something like that had went down. That would, at least if I see this would make a lot more sense to me going into the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, right.
Where
also,
I'm reaching hard, don't understand.
True. No. Yeah. This is what you're hoping.
But I just
also, she Mara Jade, right? She becomes at some point like a smuggler, and she hooks up with Lando, so that could even be part of the Lando show that we got coming soon. Him and Shin, you know.
Oh man. Yeah. Right.
Oh, I remember that time I met Shinhati.
Or how he pronounces hand, it'd be Hattie.
Yeah.
Shinhati.
What a firecracker she was.
Hello, what do we have here?
I could definitely be some humor there.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Although she doesn't really seem to have that much of a comedic presence, like Sabine was saying when Ezra's like, "Who's that?" She's like you, but not as good of a sense of humor. Like, a little
She's
like
like you,
serious.
yeah.
She's a little serious.
Who's that? She's like you.
But I mean, if we look back, if you want to look back, Mara Jade was dead serious too. She wasn't a very fun person to be around when at that point either. So it fits to me. So yeah, I don't know.
Lots of good predictions. Lots of good predictions.
It's fun.
Yeah. There's lots of directions they could go with the Shin character for sure.
Yep.
But that's gonna lead me into one other story that we had here, and it was kind of, or actually, how did we feel about everything here? I mean, I didn't have any other real predictions, so you guys kind of covered a couple of mine too. So
Yeah. No. I think I think it's good. You can't really. I mean, you can keep going and just whatever, but I feel we won't know until they start laying it down, I guess. But
I predict that Carson Teva will be in it. Hot take. I know.
the rebels will be back together again.
all right, on that note.
Yeah. Let's move on.
All right, so there was another article that came out this week, and it basically said, with Ahsoka season 1 behind us, what is next for Star Wars on Disney Plus? So, obviously we kind of know what's coming. We don't have any idea when it's coming now because of what's happened with the strike and where news has popped up or where things are going to drop now. I know earlier this week, I know you had posted it, Andy, and I never even got a chance to see it because it was pulled before I had a chance to look at it. But I know earlier this week, somebody had leaked out the trailer for The Acolyte.
Right.
Which I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of happy I didn't get to see it, but I get the feeling it's gonna pop up very soon. Now that it's been out.
Now that it's leaked for sure.
But one of the things that they were talking about coming out this year, which I don't see it happening now just because of how late into the year we are and no real announcement of it, was Skeleton Crew.
Right. Yep.
It seemed like it was pretty much ready to go. They were just kind of wrapping things up when the strike hit.
They had said that they had finished, I think, finished filming.
Right.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, I do believe so as well.
So the prediction here is basically saying maybe February
Yeah,
Because-
early 2024. Yeah.
because they're saying that the Marvel show Echo is supposed to be coming out in January, and I know they don't like dropping too many shows on at once, especially if you got a
Right.
Marvel show and a Star Wars show, because they don't want to compete against each other. Like even with I think what the Loki show started this week.
Loki started this week.
Yeah, they waited
Yeah.
for Ahsoka to drop
To
it because
finish,
they
yeah.
didn't want to be split.
Yeah, which now I gotta go watch that. I even forgot
Yeah,
all about
I'm
that.
actually after we're done here. After we're done, I'm watching. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited for Skeleton Crew though, because I now that we've gotten to this point where we've seen Ahsoka, I want to know where this ties in. I mean, this is supposed to be a story that's completely different, but yet still has little ties into what we know about, and I'm really excited to see where it goes.
For Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm very curious. It also something I noticed in that article is it shows Bryce Dallas Howard, so we're gonna see Bo-Katan in that series. So it's pretty cool.
Huh? What do you mean?
Yeah, you lost me.
Like
there.
it shows a picture of like the cast for Skeleton Crew.
No, that's the
directors.
directors.
Oh, okay.
She's directing one of the episodes, or one or two of them. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, you're thinking of Katie Sackhoff, who plays.
Yeah. She's not Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought she.
No,
was.
she's not. No.
Oh. Wow.
Well, then retract that.
Yeah.
We'll
Cut that part.
we'll cut it out, guys.
That didn't happen. No, it didn't happen.
No, it's fine.
So the one curious thing for me with Skeleton Crew, like I'm curious about the Jude Law character, like the whole Jedi, like what's his backstory now? Like I want to know it now. Like, you know, is he part of the, you know, the obviously he was part of the, you know, Order 66. Obviously he had to been around for that. So like I just want to know. Yeah, I'm really curious.
Yeah, he's such a good actor too. Like anything I've seen him in, I'm like he does such an awesome job. So I can't wait to see him in a Star Wars role, especially a Force user. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see where that goes. But from there, the next big one that they're talking about is we just talked about the Acolyte.
Right.
Again, trailer just kind of leaked out. We haven't seen much on it, but I'm thinking we'll see something soon. Probably not within the next month, because according to this, they're saying they're looking at possibly sometime during the early summer, either June or July, when that comes up, when that finally comes out. But I could see something by Christmas, potentially, just because it's been out for so long. Well, people got to see it already. You might as well just let everybody see it at this point, and then just start letting the hype build for it. Or they'll probably wait until Skeleton Crew is shown, and then start pushing the hype for it. But from what I've heard about what this show is, there's things that have me excited. There's things that have me very worried. So I don't know 100% how I feel about this show just yet. I know on one side I've heard there's going to be a lot of martial arts, lots of fighting, lots of a lot. It's going to be a lot. It's going to look a lot. I'm trying to think of the way I want to say it. There's going to be a lot
Jedi
of
and Force users and stuff, lightsabers.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of that, and
apparently it's saying it focuses on the bad guys, which is kind of interesting too, right?
Right, and this is supposed to be within the period of about 100 years before the Phantom Menace starts. So if we're focusing on the bad guys, we're really close into the range of Palpatine, whoever his master was. Obviously, we all want to say Darth Plagueis.
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 I mean, which should be Plagueis. It shouldn't be anybody else. But we've never established in canon that Plagueis was his master. So I guess they could
Well,
change that.
doesn't he say, like, he tells the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise and stuff, and then I guess it's not really mentioned in canon that it was him that
No, I
that,
mean,
that
even
did
though
it.
he has that shit-eating grin on his face when he says he killed him in his sleep.
Yeah.
like yeah, I know I did it,
Yeah.
but um, I would look. It would be great if we saw like maybe Plagueis as like the apprentice.
I think
His
something that would be
master.
kind of cool about that too is I feel like Plagueis species, the only time we've really kind of seen it in canon is like the dude in the cantina playing the flute thing or playing some kind of instrument. So, for him to be like, this very powerful Sith Lord would be you know, to people that don't know the non-canon stories and stuff like that, it would be kind of a shocker.
I would say I think we saw the Mune in Clone Wars.
Was there? Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like Clone Wars did touch on a lot of stuff, so it's very possible. A lot of species and
yeah.
characters, all that kind of stuff.
Um, but that being said, yeah, like I said, I could see Plagueis as the not as the master, but as the apprentice. Maybe we have Plagueis's master, and we see like towards the end of. I don't know how far they intend to bring the acolyte into the Phantom Menace, but it could potentially end with Plagueis killing his master, taking on Palpatine as his apprentice, a very young Palpatine as his apprentice,
Right.
and setting that story up as we go on, which I think would be extremely interesting to see that suddenly that show ends with that going on, and it's like, okay, we know where this goes now. But there's the that's the part that excites me when it comes to this show. It's the potential of where we can go with it as far as that. The part that scares me is there was a lot of word that this show spent a shit ton of money. Like they were heavily over budget for what they did.
Right.
And it's like,
think the thing that makes me optimistic about that though is the amount of lightsabers and hype. So like I feel like yes, they might have gone a little bit overboard, but I feel like the success of this show is going to be quite good. Like I think it's gonna hit the mark with the general market out there because it's gonna be exciting. Lots of lightsaber stuff, and yeah, people love that stuff. Eat it up.
but the problem is, if it doesn't, it's gonna be a hard hit if it goes wrong. And I just worry about that, especially considering all the talk about they're trying to cut back on things, they're trying to cut back on
Yeah,
shows.
and all the failures they did have in the Disney realm,
Yeah, it's
it
like
would kind of add on to that.
something like this that hemorrhaged money. You don't want to hear about that at a time like this because that's going to put a very big. They're going to pop the brakes really hard if this goes wrong.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
But yeah,
just how I feel about it, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you guys think or.
I don't know. Like we seen that um not really a trailer, but we seen that like little clip that they had where they show the Jedi younglings escaping from some kind of temple or something like that. If you guys recall, that thing was pretty awesome, and I think that hyped up a lot of people. I think people are pretty stoked for that show. So
I mean, don't get me wrong.
I mean,
I'm hoping.
I mean, I'm saying I'm hoping that it's gonna do well. I mean, I'm a huge martial arts guy. I love martial arts stuff. So I mean, if they pull it off well, and it's not like string action stuff, and you can really tell that it's string action stuff, and I don't know, maybe they might be. I mean, I do like that stuff when it's done well, but I mean, I guess we'll see. But yeah, like there's a thing with having. Like, there's gonna be a lot of lightsabers, like you know what I mean? Like, it's gonna be like that scene in the Attack of the Clones, right, where they're all in the Coliseum and all the lightsabers are there, and you're like, oh man, but those are obviously CG back in the day.
And that is one of those scenes that's like exciting to kind of rewatch it and be like, oh yeah, I want to look at this part of the screen and see what's going on over there.
Yeah, who's it? Yeah,
like,
you pause it and you're like, oh yeah, like
yeah. So I do kind of like that kind of stuff.
But I mean, I'm excited. We can sit here and be like, I don't know if it
could be this, could be that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. Like the stuff is still going forward. Acolyte's still happening. And the rest of the stuff we're gonna do down here, like
there's quite a bit more stuff.
There's a lot more stuff than I thought there was, to be honest. I was scrolling and I was like, oh wow, that one. Okay. But I mean, the way that they have it spaced out, like the way that it looks, like next year they're aiming for at least 2 for sure, like Skeleton Crew and Acolyte for sure, spring into the summer, technically, or tentatively, right? So, and then in the fall, going into early January 2025, Andor maybe, like,
yeah.
So, which is our next one we're going to talk about, but
yeah,
yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this one, because again, martial arts, it's one of the things I love. I love watching anything martial arts when it's done well. So, I'm excited mostly for that, and obviously how it's going to connect with everything. Like obviously the story, big story guy with loving Andor and all that stuff. So, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, for me, I think Andor is the one that I'm most looking forward to, because I was so surprised with how good it ended up being in the first place.
Yeah, even though I was a little bit harsh about Andor season 1, I am pretty stoked for Andor season 2. I think it's gonna do for me what Andor season 1 didn't do for me. Just based on like the timeline of, can't remember the director's name, but talking about
Tony Gilroy,
whoever it was that was talking about like trying to make it so it like goes into Rogue One, timeline wise, that really got me excited, like to see the events leading up to that and all that. So
yeah. I think that's part of what excites me is I want to see how this leads into. I want to see how well they make it happen, or more or less, do they stick the landing with it? Because if they land it the way they say they're going to land it. Basically, we should be able to watch the last episode of Andor, go right into Rogue One, not miss a beat, and then go right into A New Hope and not miss a beat.
A New Hope, yeah. Mm-hmm. That'd be so good.
Yeah, and to me, that's awesome. I mean, that's a good 6 hours of viewing I can sit there and do one day. I'm in.
Yep. Yep.
So, yeah, like I said, just back to the idea. I hope they can pull this off. Like I said, the main reason I did want to bring up the Acolyte was because that whole idea of them spending a lot of money does scare me. But at the end of the day, I have faith in the rest of it, just because we're not hearing things like that. We're not hearing those problems. So I hope at the end of the day it is successful, and I hope we don't have those problems, but we'll see when we get there.
Yep.
Yeah, and also I remember we had that article where they were saying that they're focusing more on quality over quantity, right?
Hmm.
Like when they said they pumped a little bit extra into the skeleton crew just to make sure that the product comes out the way that they wanted it or as well as they wanted it to. So I do like the idea that you know, they're they're going for that. Quality, I agree that quality is better than quantity. As much as I
Yeah.
love all these shows, we want them to be good.
Exactly. Um, that being said, guys, is there anything else you guys want to bring up today, or
There is a few more things on here, quite a few actually.
you do
Like
want to go
man,
through?
yeah, maybe just quicker. We'll just do like
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. We can talk
Mando
about them.
season 4 is coming after that, so that's pretty awesome. I think we kind of we've talked about that a few times of what we would like to see Mando season 4 kind of at the end of season 3 we were talking about that. So, you know.
And it was already confirmed that it was already written earlier in the year.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
they can give Rick paper where they need to go
Yeah,
with it.
and like we said, they were about to start shooting actually before the strike hit. So
So now the fact they can just pick right up and go into it sounds great.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, and it says here that Carl Weathers and Katie Sackhoff are not working a lot these days outside of Star Wars, so they should be able to smoothly just go right into it. So that's pretty sweet.
uh,
And then
we are of
what do we
course
got?
not counting on Pedro.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
He, he
yeah,
got
dude.
he got a little big. He got a little big.
He
This
got a little
guy.
big, yeah.
Yeah. And then Ahsoka season 2, we already kind of talked about that. So yeah,
But I mean,
we have our
considering
predictions.
they're talking another 2 years before we see that,
Mhm, A lot
that's
of this.
that kind of makes me sad inside. It's like we just finished it this week. 2 years feels so far away.
Yeah,
You just
it
want to see it
does.
again, like yeah, I know.
Yeah, the next ones that are lists on here, I hope that we see not in this order and maybe sooner than that. Bad Batch season 3, I would love to see that sooner than later, just because yeah, I feel like we're so close to the end of that story, and
I,
animated series do seem a little bit easier to put out.
well, this is saying that it should be out sometime next year. That wouldn't surprise me.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
it wouldn't surprise me if, kind of like they did with Mandalorian, when we were covering both Bad Batch and Mandalorian at the same time. I could see
that's
that
right,
I
yeah.
could see that running at the same time as something else,
Hmm.
and I mean, because those were quick half-hour episodes anyway. It's not like we're
Yeah.
looking into um, half-hour episodes, lots of filler, not stuff that we're going to. I never saw us really spending a great deal of time talking about Bad Batch, whereas
Right.
we got to adapt with some of the like Mandalorian and Ahsoka shows.
Yeah. It says Fennec Shand is going to be in it, as well as Wolf and Rex, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it has confirmed that some, including Michelle Ang, who plays Omega, her voice work was already wrapped up.
Nice.
So, I mean, it is probably closer to being done than we think, but you never know, what else has to be done beforehand. And now, with all the writing and stuff, I don't know how they do the episodes. Do they do it,
Yeah, I feel like that might need less of on set writers. So it's like once it's written, it's kind of written more or less compared to a live action thing where the direction of it can change quite a bit on the spot
right?
compared to an animated
So,
series.
again, we could see that next year, with including all the other stuff, Skeleton Crew, Acolyte.
Mm-hmm.
Next year could be potentially
Squished
a
in there.
pretty big year for Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to take a second to answer Contingent's question there, where it says, "So, do you think the season finale of Ahsoka leads into season 2 or the Thrawn movie?" Honestly, I don't think it leads into either. I think it's going to lead into. If I had to pick something, I think it's going to lead into the next season of Mandalorian.
Mhm.
I could see
Yeah.
a cameo, or I could see them taking an episode out of that season to do a little bit of that story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe we get a little quick update on what's going on. But I also
Yeah, they did mention Mando season 3 in that episode when they were at the tribunal hearing for Hera. They talked about what's it called, Gideon on Mandalore and stuff. So that was kind of interesting. That was fun.
right.
Well, I mean, with Thrawn coming back into the universe, the galaxy, obviously Mando's gonna know about it. You know what I mean? So I think Thrawn could be a part of it too, right? So,
but I mean, also that's where we're gonna get our Shadow Council meeting.
right.
I mean,
right.
that's where we're finally going to see all of it come together. If Gideon's still alive, Gideon will probably make his power play, and that's where Thrawn's going to step in and kind of slap him down in his place.
Gideon is still alive. That was a clone, by the way. That wasn't him.
Right.
Well, I mean, it didn't really show him dying. It just showed the
Right. Yeah,
explosion
yeah.
happening behind him, and he's wearing the armor. So anything.
Who
can happen.
knows? Who knows? Yeah.
We've seen many returns of characters in this Star
But yeah,
Wars realm.
I could see the Shadow Collective. Yeah, Shadow Collective. I could see us showing up on the show, guys. The Shadow Council showing up in that just for one episode, like him revealing himself or something. Maybe it could be the first episode of Mando. You know what
Yeah. and it would make perfect sense.
Yep.
Because all of this is supposed to come together in some way. And then towards the end of that Mandalorian season 4, that'll probably lead into somewhere into Ahsoka, or it's gonna learn. I don't
Possibly
know.
Skeleton Crew, right? Because we know that's kind of in the era.
Maybe there is a Skeleton's Crew season 2 at that point. Maybe we have, maybe somewhere along the way. Much as I hate to see it happen, Book of Boba Fett season 2 does happen, and they bring that along.
The mods.
Yeah, I mean, suddenly the word
Mods
gets out to the
season 1.
Vespas, and they get the Vespas to spread the word to somebody else, and
they get Vespas on other worlds to join together.
The
Vespas
they
in
get
the
together and
galaxy
have a.
Oh,
It'd be funny if they had like a Fast and the Furious style movie that's actually the Vespa gang. Like,
God.
Don't. No. Please.
all the different colored Vespas rolling up, and there's 2 of them racing, and
Oh my goodness.
The lead Vespa talking about family. It's all over. It's
yeah,
just all
he's
over.
like,
Yeah. Family.
I live here on Tatooine. We live our lives
That's all he says.
mile
Like,
at a time.
family. Family. Can you stop saying that?
Why does he keep saying that?
That's all the word he knows. The only one he knows. Yeah.
So that would be fun.
I mean,
That would be fun. That would be fun. Yeah, that's a good word for it. That'd be fun.
Yeah. But I did actually have a dream, so I'm pretty sure I could make that show. I'm pretty sure I could.
You had a dream. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a dream. I should send off my story to
Well, here's the
Dave
proof right
Filoni
here. You
there.
can just send off a clip of the video. Be like, hey, this is what we came up with.
Yeah.
I mean, him saying family is really gonna nail it home for you.
Oh, that's during his pitch too, and he's gonna like picture this family.
He's got like a big black Vespa. He's like,
Oh, come on, they gotta be colored, man. Come on, they gotta be colorful Vespas here.
yeah, but like in the Fast and the Furious, like Dom has his,
he's got the
his
black
big
one, yeah.
black old school car, right? His old muscle car. Sick. But anyways, this next show though, I'm pretty stoked for as well. And again, same thing. I would like it sooner than later. But Tales of the Jedi season 2. I know that first one. I was it left me wanting more, right? I
Yeah.
just wanted more and more of it. So
The only question with it is, who are the Jedi you cover for it? And don't
yeah,
get
I'm
me wrong,
interested to see what it
there's
is.
to me there's no wrong answer to that. That's the scary part.
Hmm. Hmm.
The only
Yeah, it mentions here like Qui-Gon, Mace, Ayla, Sakura. Any of those would be so good, right?
and deep down, the only Jedi that I probably would not want covered is Yoda.
Yoda. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, as much as I hate to
Fun.
say that, but again, don't get me wrong. As opposed to Boba Fett, I like Yoda, but
Mhm.
the biggest part about Yoda that I like is the mystery of Yoda. I mean, we've gotten Yoda, we've gotten Yaddle, we've gotten Grogu. My mistake, Din Grogu. Let's not
Let's
get
not
that
go
He's
crazy,
wrong.
cool.
guys. Let's not
Yeah.
go crazy. Don't burn. Don't. Yeah, let's go.
But that being said, we've gotten 3 of them. We still haven't really pressed too deep into the lore of them. So I'm kind of okay with it. It's like, I don't want to know about their species. I don't think I ever want to know about their species.
Mhm.
I think we could leave it alone and I'll be great.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, really looking forward to see what they are gonna do with that show. Because yeah, like I said, it left me wanting more. I think what was it, 6 episodes or something? 3 from each story, or
Yeah, it was
was
6
it 8?
episodes. It was 6.
Yeah. So
And
yeah, that definitely
6
definitely left me wanting more.
and the Dooku ones were amazing. Beyond
Oh
Mhm.
man,
amazing.
I thought the
we need a
Ahsoka
Dooku
ones were
series.
amazing. Even like my brother, he's not into the cartoons and all that kind of stuff. He's seen the movies and stuff. And when he watched that, he's like, "Oh, this Ahsoka character, that's pretty interesting." And I'm like, "Oh, you don't know who Ahsoka is?" And I kind of explained it to him, but like even, you know, he's not into the cartoons, but he watched that and he was like, "Oh, this Ahsoka character is cool." So it's kind of like a bridge for some people into that character. So
Yeah.
that part was kind of neat too.
And don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm saying Ahsoka is not a character I want to see. I definitely, I thought her stuff was great, but
Mhm.
for
And we got to
for a
see like
character that
her
we
mom, right? Her mom was a hunter and stuff, so we kind of get a little backstory, you know.
but I think it's just more the fact that we've gotten a lot on Ahsoka, so I didn't bother me. It didn't hit me as much as Dooku, where
Yeah.
we didn't know much about Dooku at all, and to
Mhm.
see how he fell was exciting to watch. And it's almost tragic in the sense of how we lost Yaddle in the process. Don't worry, spoiler alert, this thing is still up, so we're still good on that front. but
Mhm.
um, but it was just kind of good to watch. Have you ever got any immediate shows? Um, and to answer Power Choose question, no, we never got anything showing Obi-Wan getting knighted.
Nope.
The only people we've ever truly seen being knighted was Kanan Jarrus in Rebels, and if you go back to the old Clone Wars cartoon, we see Anakin get knighted. Outside of the 2 of them, nothing. But young Obi-Wan, I think, would be very interesting to see. Um, Maybe even a young Qui-Gon to partially continue that Dooku push. But
Yeah.
because we only got to see the 1 episode with the young Qui-Gon, I would like to see maybe what got Qui-Gon to where he was.
Mhm. Yeah, or even like young Mace, of course, would be awesome as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the options are unlimited.
Yeah.
You
Even
know.
Shakti, we don't know a lot about Shakti or Luminara. Like there's so much. Like Kit
Yeah.
Fisto, like oh man, so many, you know, Jedi name drops that we don't know a whole ton of stuff about them.
And I still say it can go beyond that too. Why can't we have a Tales of the Sith? I would love to see them push back.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the great Sith of their time. We could have one on Plagueis. We could have one on Young Maul. We could have one on
Revan,
Darth Bane, Darth Revan.
Yeah.
And I mean, this might be where they play. You know, they have an episode with Plagueis and young Palpatine. You know what I mean, or you know what I mean, like something like that. You know.
Yeah. The possibilities are endless, and I would love to go into some of those stories. I mean, not to mention some of the names that we've come along the way in the legend stories. There's just so many. I'm actually blanking out now, just because I'm trying to remember half of the names, and and that's not even just talking about.
Potentially, they could even touch on like the Old Republic story, like that game, like, you know what I mean, Satele Shan and stuff like that. That would be interesting too.
Yeah, I would love to see them go to the Old Republic. I think that would be great too. There's just so many areas they could touch and bring to canon, and it doesn't have to even be the way that it's currently described in certain stories. You want to make changes to make it work? Whatever you gotta do. But I would just love to see some of these characters become more than what they were.
Another thing that could be another thing that could be cool with that, not from season 2, but for potential for another season, it would be if the you know, once we get that Jedi Origins movie that is coming, whenever that's coming, 2 years from now or whatever. After that, I'm sure we'll be, you know, introduced to even more Jedi characters and stories and stuff like that. So, very interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot to be had there.
Yep, lots of stuff.
And then, of course, Star Wars Visions Volume 3 listed here. We know that those last 2 were very fun and, you know, cool for us to see all these animation studios. The first season was all Japanese animation studios. Second season was around the world, different studios. And I thought those were pretty fun. So I'm looking forward to seeing another season of that as well.
I agree.
I tend to wonder where you go with it from there. Do you kind of keep these kind of themes up with it, or do you just come out with stories?
Yeah, it's hard to say, right? Yeah, it's hard to say what way they could go, like whether they would keep it like international around the world, go with more Japanese stuff, go with maybe some Canadian studios. I don't know if there are
full Canadian studios. Oh yeah, it'd be like one episode.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many studios are of that level here in Canada, but maybe there's gotta be at least one, you know?
At least one or two, maybe.
I heard you need a Jedi around here,
eh? Yeah. Carrying around like maple syrup or something.
And a fork for a pretend.
Oh, man. Alright, so I think we've covered most of what we wanted to cover for tonight.
I think so.
Is there anything else you guys want to touch on before we call it a night?
I'm good.
Oh, I wanted to say those mounts that they had in Ahsoka, the wolf horse looking things, those were pretty awesome. I'd love to see those in another like if we go back to the Peridia story in season 2, which I imagine we will. I think those are some pretty cool looking creatures.
I want to say I was watching something and they were saying that whatever the word was that in episode, what was it, episode 7, when Sabine was trying to slow him down. I forget what the word was she was using to hold him back, but they were saying I think that was actually the beast's name.
I think that was episode 6, if I recall correctly.
It could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. But outside of that, yeah, that's just something I kind of picked up watching something this week.
That's pretty cool.
There's another thing that I discovered and I didn't know in the original A New Hope. I had no idea that the banthas were actually elephants.
Really?
Yeah, they were. They put whatever they did, and they put the stuff
on it, or
costume,
whatever?
and they tucked the tusk underneath the mouth or whatever it was. I had no idea, and then I saw the pictures. I was like, "Oh my goodness, they were elephants!" Yeah,
That's pretty amazing.
yeah. Thought I'd bring that up. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Nothing to do with what we were talking about today, but
This is the perfect time to bring up
yeah. You just-
random factoid.
anything else to say today? Oh yeah, the banthas were elephants. Yeah.
Neat. That is very cool.
Yeah, because go back and check that out.
Well, I mean, back in the day with props, right? Everything was propped, right? So
Yeah.
there was no
Well,
CG
even in this Ahsoka show, I was watching a thing of the guy who does the ship work. I can never remember the names of these people, but yeah, it's like an actual model that they're filming, right? So
the ships are props, nowadays.
yeah, it's just so cool to see like I watched I don't know how long it was, like a half-hour thing of him just like talking about the details of the ship and stuff. It's just so cool to me.
Yeah.
I like
lots
that
of
stuff.
work, man. Lots of work
For sure. So intricate, and like even like sure, it's like this big, like it's fairly big, but yeah, he's like carving these little tiny details. Some pieces are wood, some pieces are plaster, all these different things. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah,
Very cool. I love those ships, and that ship was very cool. That Jedi shuttle that it's very old and ancient and very cool.
Okay. All right, guys. That being said, I think we're going to call this our 15th episode of Shadow Collective Star Wars podcast. Swampgrass, where can we find you, bud?
So I'm on Twitch playing Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Normally Monday to Friday, but right now I'm kind of doing like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday kind of thing. Splitting it up a little bit for hunting season because I'm out there trying to get me some harvest. And yeah, that's where you guys can find me. I'm, even though I'm not streaming every day right now, I'm streaming quite a bit. You guys can find me there Monday, 6 p.m. till 9 p.m. Eastern, generally speaking. And yeah, that's where I'm at.
That's what we do up here, by the way, in Canada. For food, we hunt. So
yeah. Hunting and gathering, yeah.
Hunting and
much.
gathering, making fires. That's kind of what we do up here. So just so you know.
Yeah.
Well, hope that works out well for you guys. And
we're pretty used to it,
Yeah.
all right, Andy Beans, where can we find you, bud?
So I'm also on Twitch as well. I play Marvel Snap. It's a card game. Guys, check it out. It's pretty fun. But I stream consistently Saturday mornings. But I also have days during the week that I do as well. Usually try Thursday, Fridays. So those are usually the days that I can do it. But yeah, that's pretty much where you find me.
Awesome. And I am Darth Eldor. You can find me on Twitch as well. More often than not, I'm playing Galaxy of Heroes also. I go in mainly for Grand Arena lately. Just kind of doing my thing. And you can catch me from time to time dropping a short video here and there on YouTube at Darth Eldor as well. But other than that, that's about it. But that being said, I want to thank everybody that came out to check out this episode of the Shadow Collective podcast. We'll be back next in about 2 weeks with episode 16, and who knows what we're going to cover then. But I'm excited for it, and whether you come join us live or check us out on YouTube. Which, by the way, don't forget, check us out on YouTube. These episodes have been going up pretty quickly lately, and we're going to try to keep doing that. And
yeah, make sure you guys hit like and subscribe and comment, share. All those things go a long way to help the channel grow and reach more audience. And we'd love to love to see this channel grow. So hit us up, guys.
And Twitter as well, guys.
And we've seen a lot of growth in the last couple weeks, and we're happy that you guys are happy that you're willing to come out and listen to us as we just sit here and just have a good time. So
Babylon about Star Wars,
yeah. So
we like Star Wars a little bit around
just
here,
a little bit.
So while we probably be
We hope you do.
Just a little bit, right?
Wow. So while we probably be doing this anyway, we're just glad that you guys are enjoying it. So hopefully we'll be back in a couple weeks, episode 16. Until then, Force be with you always.